Welcome to Custom Homebuilders Solutions, also known as CHS, a job costing, full accounting, and profit management software designed specifically for the professional home builder. This video will be a continuation of previous videos that we've been doing about items that you can set up that are behind your cost code centers. We've already discussed that on your cost codes master you can set up some generic items that can be brought into budgets. We've also discussed how to select those for the budgets and various things about setting up items and grouping those some into assemblies. There'll be a little bit of introduction into a new feature that I also have a following video on about how you can put your items into areas or rooms. But in this particular video, I'm going to be discussing how, with those very same items that we were seeing in the budget, we can set up some buyer selections and the buyer can see those online. We can create a purchase order from the items, and then at the end I'll do a little bit of drilling down to show how when somebody's entering a bill to pay, etc., they can drill down to see what items that we have set up to compare to the bill. So from the main menu, I've clicked the Actives dashboard, and then I selected the little job we've been working on just for demonstration, Vista 3813. And then I clicked the job budget worksheet and reports, and I already have it open. And I did a keyword search because I'm going to talk about plumbing fixture allowance. So I just typed plumb in here to just look for the cost codes that have the word plumbing or plumb in them, or the group of plumbing. So actually it works based on the group, I'm sorry. So search for keywords in group headings, and I did that. So we're just in the plumbing section. So I'd like to go ahead and click on this line for plumbing fixture allowance. And by the way, notice that the measure on this is allowance. So in the contract, the builder, by setting allowance, that means the builder probably has in the contract that here's what your allowance is, and if you go over your allowance, this is said to the buyer that you will pay the difference, but that's whole other videos in the budget. So let's click the button. We're talking about items, and notice how it says for budget, for bid request, for PO, for selections. We'll be doing the selections and the PO part in this video. Now what we have here for plumbing fixtures, and you probably have a whole lot more, but I just did a couple. I did something about bathroom sinks and bathroom toilets. You're going to see that we had two that were brought in from the master. When we set up this budget, we said bring in all the items for the master. And we had these attached to this cost code, so these are showing up here. And we had two toilets. Now I have already set these. When you edit one of these, you can see now, probably not in previous videos, that you can select an area or room to put these into and to group these by. So these are mainly sorted by the area or room, and then you can see over here what the assembly is. But what I want to do, I've already put these into a room called bath 1, and I want to, there's going to be two baths, let's say, in this house. So I need another grouping of these very same selections for them to select which sink or which toilet, and probably there'll be a bunch of others, like I said. But I want a batch for bathroom 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the button up here for Get Other Items, and I can actually get other items from the very same job that I'm working on right now. In other words, it'll just duplicate themselves up, and it'll be the items for this cost code that we're in right now. You could select some other cost code if you wanted to get items from another area, and then also put them in this cost code. But let's open the window to get the items. And so you'll see those very same items. So I'm going to do select, and then right here I'm going to, notice how it says you can type one in. And we have bath 1, but I don't have bath 2, so I'm just going to type bath 2. And next time I'm in here, it's going to give me that as part of the selection. So it tells me that's been added. I'm not on the items window yet. I'm just selecting items that I want to be. So I'm doing bath 2, add that item. I'll take this one into bath 2. Add that item, and this one into bath 2, And I'm adding that one to my list of items. So we should be able to see, and these are the original items that we're copying from, so that nothing's changing on here. It's just that I'm using the select to add those to my current one. So when I close this, the items window will refresh. And you'll see that we have two sections now. This section looks exactly like this section, but we have bath 1 and bath 2, and we have sinks to select from, and we have toilets to select from. So that's what I'm talking about right here. There's a column over here to show buyer, and I'm going to show you in a minute how a buyer can get online and see things, all kinds of things, but in this case, see various items or not. So up here you see this show buyer checked. Let's just select all. We're going to do all of them. So those show buyer are all select, and we want the buyer to select from all of them. So there's another column for buyer select checked. This just means show the buyer these items if you're doing a budget report and they can see the items. This isn't as much about selection. This is the checkbox for selection, and let's just select all and say we want, oh, that's silly. Sorry. This is for the buyer to do the selection. I got myself confused there. Got ahead of myself here, but you can see now how we have ones for bathroom 1 and bathroom 2. All of these have photos, so you'll see over there how we do a report to show the buyer. Maybe, I'm not sure whether you just want to do marked up costs only if it's fixed, or if it's a cost plus you want to do cost and markup. But you can see how the various photos are showing up there. So I'd like to show you the buyer being online now, and I have that already open. The buyer's already logged in. I almost let it sit idle too long there, but this buyer is logged in. They were set up on the job setup window, and that will be in all the job setups or buyer online videos. So all we're going to look at here on the buyer login is the selections, because we're talking about selected items. And you can see that they will get a window, which can be expanded if you like a little bit, to see things a little better. And you'll see that they'll see those items. All we've done for them to select is this in our job for demo. So we see area room bath 1, area room bath 2, and you can see these two assemblies are bath sinks, and these are 2 toilets. So they need to choose a sink for bath 1. So they could go ahead and decide for bath 1, I want the most expensive sink, or whatever. They might look at the picture, and take a look at that sink, etc. And for the toilet, they also want the more expensive one. So they check mark that. You can see I was experimenting a minute ago that it says selected or unselected by, and I did it as a buyer just to test a minute ago, but it's saying buyer. Now I'm not going to go ahead and select these, because I'm going to show you how the builder can select that, and it'll show builder in case the buyer for some reason didn't, or in case the buyer doesn't have a login and they get a report from the builder to do their selections. So they could look at a report of all the items and see the pictures, etc., grouped by area and room and so on. Or they can get a report of selected items. And so there's the couple of things that I have selected so that they can see the grand total of what they've selected for that. So I just wanted to show you that. That's where the buyer is doing the selections. So if we come back over here and we go ahead and refresh, let's just refresh instead of close and reopen, but let's refresh the items. And now you'll see that there's a couple of buyers selected under bath 1 that they've selected a sink and a toilet. Let's say that they've handed you a piece of paper instead and they didn't do it, and they told you that in bath 2 they wanted the least expensive one. So here for the bath sinks, the builder, that's me being logged on, or whatever user, can do buyer select themselves right there. And you'll notice that it says builder. And then let's do the least expensive one of the toilets, just because whatever, in bath 2 we don't want the more expensive ones. So those are all done by the builder. Now you're going to see up here that the buyer selected is 1,044.52, and we're all done, let's say, with that. And we want to have a report of buyer selections. We can again just do cost and marked up or marked up only, that kind of thing. We do marked up costs only. We'll just see what the buyer has selected for those areas and rooms. So you can do those. But what I'd like to show you is that you can match budget check marks. Remember, in previous videos we were marking these various things for the budget. But you could click this to match budget checks to buyer select checks to all of these check marks. So let's go ahead and do that. It's asking me if that's all okay to do. Now you can see that the check marks here are just for the budget selected items. Now another thing that you can do is you can lock all buyer selections. And the reason we're going to do that is because I'm now going to demonstrate how we can make a PO from these particular budget selected items. And I want to lock, because I'm ready to do a PO for the plumbing company from items. And it doesn't have to be buyer selected items that you do POs for. So notice that there's a new PO column. And what I'm going to do is I want to create a purchase order for that one because it was selected, for that one because it was selected, for that one because it was selected, and for that one. So if I do a new PO, it will have all 4 of these items on it that are for the budget. And then up here you'll notice that new purchase order is 1,044.52, budget checked is that same amount, the buyer selected amount is that same amount, and we can create a purchase order from this. So we are going to buy those 2 plumbing fixtures from Ferguson Enterprises, and we'll continue to create the purchase order. This video is not all about making purchase orders, but you can see that the PO amount is this, and that it's to Ferguson and it's for that cost code. And if we go ahead and print the email, I'll just use my stored signature. I mean print the PO, not the email. You can email this now to vendor with some attachments, which we'll talk about in POs. I just want to show you the purchase order real quick. It has prepared a PDF behind the scenes for this, which is a little different than the other reports that open in HTML, and that's because it might be used as an attachment on an email. And so you can also look at it again later. But you'll notice that the PO, I'm going to slide down here, total authorized amount is this, and that those items are showing up one at a time on the purchase order for Ferguson Enterprises. So you can see how quickly you can do POs from items. I'll close that, and we'll close that, and we'll close that, and we'll close that. And now the other thing I'd like to do is show you, maybe I don't want all these extra, or maybe I want to keep them for information, these extra items that were not selected, but let's just say I don't want them to be there anymore. I can use a delete all button, and it's going to delete all except ones attached to purchase orders. Warning, items that have been marked for buyer selection and not attached to a PO will be deleted. In other words, what the buyer sees on screen, they won't see the ones that aren't attached to a PO. So it's a way to delete items that are not attached to purchase orders. So let's do the delete. It says all items for the job codes that were not attached to POs have been deleted. So you can see now we're just left with the things that were selected and the things that we issued POs for. You can also see that a PO has been issued for these by seeing the yes, and if you drill down on it, it's going to open that PO window again so that you could look at the PO, but we're not going to. Or delete the PO while you're over there, you could do that. So that's what I wanted to show you about how selections can be done and how purchase orders can be done, and then how you can delete all items you've been working on except for the ones that you assigned a PO. There's one more thing I'd like to take a quick look at is the items reports. There's several of them. You can do marked for budget with photos, cost code, blah, blah, blah. All kinds of various ways you can look at these items. Down here, this is the items for the entire job, but if you just want to see for this cost code only, for budget with photos, by area room maybe, or just by cost code, but this is by area room. See how you have the room and etc. And this is an HTML report, but there are a lot of different ways, and you can experiment with printing those various reports of items. And then if you want to get a budget with all the budget items listed, you can do that. Or just the ones that are attached to POs, or various things that you might be interested in for printing. So I will close that. And I want to talk about one more thing. Oh, sorry. It's now noticing that I have checkmarked things for the budget, and it's asking if I want to update my budget. Notice how that's 0 there for that, and I'm going to say yes, update the budget for these plumbing fixtures. It's telling me that that's all been done, and if you didn't want to do it, it tells you what to do about that. But notice now that the budget line is this 1,044, which is the total of those items. Again, you probably have a lot more items for plumbing fixtures, but this is just a demo. So one more thing I'd like to show you is if I go home, I want to show you how somebody adding a new bill. They could create a new bill from purchase orders, from that purchase order that we did, but I'm going to do one from scratch. And what I want to show you is how you can drill down to the items and see them while you're entering a bill. So let's select that vendor for entering a bill. This is not about creating bills. We're going to do a job related one. And I can go ahead and select a PO and get most everything filled in for this bill. And I want to start with that Vista, and I do see that one. I started with the V, and I can see this one, and that we have outstanding that posted is 0 so far for the bills. So I'll select that one. And you'll notice that basically everything gets filled in for me except for the invoice number, and sometimes I just do PO 763, the last few digits, just for a reference, because maybe we're not paying based on an invoice. But if we are, a very important thing about something that I have to show you is that you can click this and upload a copy of your bill, or you could upload a copy of the PO that's been signed. So that the reason for that is because just a second I'll show you how the field can now approve these bills to be paid. But while I was here, I wanted to show you that you can drill down on the ECC for this particular cost code 3680. And that you can drill down, you'll see the original budget, you'll see actual cost posted. We haven't posted those costs, we're just doing yet. And the ECC, and drill down on all kinds of things. But if you drill down on the original budget, you're going to be able to see what those items were that are here. So if the bill that you received is a little bit different than the PO that you've given to them, etc., you might want to drill down on this and see which ones of these prices have changed. So that's just what I wanted to show you about that. And the other interesting thing is, let's go ahead and submit this bill. It's telling me I might be over budget or POs. That's just because who knows what right now while I'm in a demo. So let's just post it as unpaid. You should always pause and investigate what is going over. That's what it's trying to tell you, but I'm doing a demo and I have no idea what other things I may have decided to do. So back on the jobs dashboard for that job, there's a place over here for actual posted job costs, and that would be paid and unpaid. We just created an actual posted job cost, and the person in the field can approve the posted, the unpaid posted job costs before somebody selects them to pay checks. So I just wanted to show you that, notice that it picked up that there was sales tax going on with those items and things, and so it made two lines for you, one with cost type of sales tax and one without, and talking about it. It's split it because you might want to do reports just asking for things that are just the sales tax part of it. But if you're interested in seeing, it shows you the total here, and somebody in the field can do OK1 or OK2 and to approve them before somebody selects them to pay, and that's whole other videos. But I wanted to show you that you could drill down on the ECC here also and see some things, the variance cost report and things about it. But you can get to the POs and see those a little bit here and review that stuff. So there's various things you can get to, and if there's a PO, yes, and you're really wanting to know what items were on the PO, you can open the PO right there and then get an items report if you want to of everything for that cost code. But anyway, you can look at the items. And study on them and their amounts, etc. And then if the bookkeeper had uploaded a copy of a bill or something, there would be a little paperclip icon, and the person in the field would click that to compare that with the amount or whatever. Plumbing fixtures, maybe they won't be approving so much as they might be approving bills for trades or contractors, etc. Who knows? The OK2 is actually generally used by the big boss on the big screen of all the unpaid payables. People with the permission level of a project manager a lot of times can't get to accounting, but they can get to and just approve. They can't change those so much, except maybe the cost code. But anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say in this video about items. I think there's a couple of updates that will follow this, just because I'm doing this one actually a little bit after those updates. So you could continue to watch those. I think we're pretty well done, though, with talking about items behind the cost centers and how valuable those can be when you use them in CHS. So thank you for watching.